USA versus China trade war is taking an unprecedented turn. The battle was underestimated by President Trump, who thought China would come crawling and begging, but the reverse may happen. What started as a bold, aggressive push to make America great again may now be unraveling in the most unexpected way.
So China's going to win this trade war. You know that, right? They're going to win the trade war, and their win has already begun. Today is Saturday, April 12th, and Trump has already excluded iPhones, electronics, and computers from the tariffs that he's placed on China. That's because he doesn't want to just come in right away and throw in the towel and blink like he's been doing with everything else. So, just so we're clear, there's two really obvious reasons why China is going to easily and handily win this trade war. Number one, China has no factories in America, okay? American manufacturers, on the other hand, have thousands of factories in China because they manufacture their goods in China because it's cheap labor and it's cheap and they make more profit, and end of story. Are we clear? All the leverage goes to China. China has no factories in America. All China does is buy goods from America. They don't have to buy goods from America, but they choose to. And now that this tariff has been placed against China, they won't buy from America because all they buy are soybeans and wheat and flour. And they can buy that anywhere else in the world. Yes, they can. And they will. But right now, there are senators and Congress people, House members, screaming at the Trump administration because farmers are getting destroyed because China is targeting the red states too and making sure they stop buying everything. And they're stopping movie production, and they're not allowing movies to be shown in China. People in China can't buy Netflix and all that stuff, from what I'm hearing. It's just zillions of dollars. Anyway, China will win the trade war, probably this week.
Some say as long as there's a tag saying made in China, the bag can never be luxury. However, in fact, more than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China. But those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that. They take almost finished bags from China factories back to their own factories and just do the repackaging and logo installing, something like that. That way, the bags will appear at their boutiques as made in Italy or made in France. You know, those sophisticated European countries, which make you feel mysterious, royal, and thus luxury. Now, close your eyes. Let's just do a little, very easy experiment in your head, okay? Imagine that you have an Hermes bag, and suddenly the label on it changed from made in France into made in China, while everything else, like leathers, zippers, and hardware, remain the same. Do you suddenly feel that your bag is not as luxury as before? If you do, that means you have been misled and poisoned by the market campaign of those luxury brands for too long. Welcome to the real world. Now you see, those bags are made in China by our intelligent and diligent Chinese artisans. Let's not be poisoned and misled by the market campaign any longer and be a real person. Buy a bag from us, from our factory in China. See the real world for yourself. This Birkin bag at Hermes boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. But what is the real cost out of the factory? Today, I'm going to break it down in front of you, step by step. First thing first, Hermes only use the leathers from the 3 top-level suppliers. One is called Nuti from Italy. The second is Weinheim from Germany, and the third is Baz from France. One piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD. And one piece of the leather is only enough to make one Birkin, okay? And next, the thread. And of course, for Hermes Birkin, the thread is also the best top level. It's called Fil à Chinois from France. This is actually the Rolls-Royce in thread. For each bag, the cost is 25 USD. And then the hardware. See, this hardware is called 316 hardware. It's also known as the ocean stainless steel because it can withstand the erosion of seawater. It's the best stainless steel. For one piece of bag, the hardware will cost 150 USD. The edge oil. This edge oil is imported from Italy. It's called heat seal edge oil. For each bag, it will cost 50 USD. The interior lining, it used lambskin imported from France. For each bag, the cost will be 100 USD. And also inside, there is a zipper from Favour brand. And the zipper for one bag is 10 USD. And then the cost of human resource. The French artisans is much more expensive than Chinese artisans. To finish one bag, the human resource cost will be 600 USD. The package, now this is not as expensive, it's 10 USD. So now to sum those up, the total cost will be 1,400 USD for one Birkin out of factory. But why Hermes will charge you 38,000 USD for one bag? That's because more than 90% of the price is paid for its logo. But if you do not care about the logo, you just want the same quality, same material, you can just buy from us. Because for our bags, we use exactly the same material, same leather, same hardware, same edge oil. The only difference is one, we don't have the logo, so we don't have to pay so much amount of money just for that logo. And second, our human resource is much cheaper. This is why this bag from our factory only costs you 1,000 USD, but even better quality and craftsmanship.
The USA-China trade war, once seen as Washington's ace in the hole, is morphing into something else entirely. And here's the twist. The very strategy that was meant to bring China to its knees may be pushing the U.S. to the edge instead. It all began in 2018 under President Donald Trump. The U.S. launched a series of tariffs targeting Chinese goods. The rationale? A huge trade deficit, allegations of intellectual property theft, and unfair trade practices. China has been taking advantage of us for years, Trump claimed. The strategy? Apply pressure until Beijing cracks. Simple, right? But this wasn't your average economic spat. This was the opening salvo in what would become a defining struggle of the 21st century, an economic war for global supremacy. Trump's team believed China needed the U.S. more than the U.S. needed China. With China's economy heavily reliant on exports, the thinking was, pile on the tariffs, and China will cave, come to the table, and play by American rules. But here's where things get interesting. Beijing didn't back down. In fact, it doubled down. Instead of begging for relief, China began pivoting hard. Rather than begging for mercy, China accelerated its domestic development plans. It ramped up initiatives like Made in China 2025, aimed at reducing dependence on foreign technology. It expanded its Belt and Road Initiative, locking in global influence through infrastructure and trade deals across Asia, Africa, and Europe. And then came the semiconductor pivot, China's Achilles heel. After the U.S. sanctioned Huawei and blocked access to chips, Beijing started pouring billions into homegrown chip innovation. While tariffs were meant to hurt, BRICS is expanding, countries are trading in yuan, there's a quiet rebellion against the U.S.-led global order, the very isolation Trump aimed to impose on China. It may be pushing more countries toward Beijing, not away from it. And some analysts now ask, did America underestimate China's endurance and overestimate its own leverage? So where does this all lead? The next phase isn't just about tariffs. It's about AI dominance, green tech supremacy, space expansion, and supply chain sovereignty. And with elections coming up, the U.S. may face another pivot or another escalation. Meanwhile, China is betting on playing the long game, and in this war, patience might be the most dangerous weapon. The trade war may have started with steel and soybeans, but it's grown into a global power struggle that could define our century. Trump thought China would crawl and beg, but in a plot twist worthy of a Hollywood thriller, it might be the U.S. facing unexpected consequences. Let us know what you think. Is China winning the trade war? Or is this just round one of a much bigger fight? Smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.